So, all right. So, I don't know if you can see the details. All right. Okay, please, can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Can anybody see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
we can see the screen.
Okay, beautiful. So, like as I said earlier on, you are welcome to this very important engagement. And this is the Researchers Fireside, Fireside Chat, episode 2. And we have in our midst a very great researcher and an academic, a great academia. So just to give you the context, Alpha Research Plus, we engage in a whole lot of trainings and also in consulting in terms of things around research, project management, and other things. And these are samples of some of the trainings we've held in the last close to 4 or 5 months. You can see that literally every month there's something that is happening on the chat box. Just quite recently we had the use of artificial intelligence and all. And currently we have the research toolkit, which was trainings on Canva. And then today we are having the very big one. So you want to study abroad on scholarship. So having said that, I'm going to quickly invite our key speaker to introduce herself just for the audience. And then I'll take it off from there. So, but it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Ifeinwa Akamike, who is a doctoral candidate from the University of Toronto, a serial WHO research grant winner, and a co-investigator on several grant-funded projects. It is my very big honor to invite her to say something to everyone. Dr. Akamike, you have the floor, ma'am. Just as a way of introduction, please can you just give us, an opening statement, and then we take it on from there.
Thank you, Dr. Wangpo. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Ifeinwa, like you've heard, and I'm a medical doctor by training and a public health physician in Nigeria. And I'm currently doing my doctoral studies in the University of Toronto in Canada. And I'm excited to be here. It's not like I'm here with some magic, solutions and whatever. But yeah, we'll just chat and talk about relevant things that can be of help to people that need it. I'm happy to be here. All right, thank you.
Okay, so my very first question to you, something that someone said, and in fact somebody had to call me and we had to speak for a long time. Please, is it true that people win scholarship, free funded programs to study masters and PhD abroad? Over. Is it true?
Of
You
course.
our former president called someone and said, Yar'Adua, are you still alive? So is it true? Okay, over.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and um, it's not a question that is out of place. Yeah, because if you don't have the information, you wouldn't know what is happening around the world. So yes, it is true. People win these scholarships. I am one of them, and I know a lot of others, not people from outside Nigeria. I know people from Nigeria, different parts of Nigeria, southeast, southwest, northern parts. So people win these scholarships. It is true. It's not like um, hearsay or just you know fiction or something. It's true. People win it. Yeah, I haven't paid a kobo for my admission. I haven't paid a kobo for my studies. In fact, the acceptance fee I paid was refunded. Yeah. Over to you, Dr. Gunnar.
I can study because I know how much the cost of studying abroad looks like. For some, it's as close as that. I mean, if you are doing a PhD, it's as much as more than $35,000 per annum, which is close to probably more than 50 million naira. So you are saying somebody can pay for me 50 million naira by 4, which is like 200 million, and I won't drop a dime. Is it possible? Is it what you are saying? Let me be sure I'm hearing what you are saying.
Of course, you said it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to ask the audience, do you really believe her? Is it possible? Can someone actually tell me it's possible? You can do a thumbs up to tell me that it's possible. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Obina, for that. Oh, beautiful. Why we asked you to do the thumb up or say it's possible is because your story is what we want to tell next time. So that's why I said you should do a thumbs up. So let me ask you, Dr. Akamike, have you always won a grant? What was the key moment that, that eureka moment that made you believe it is possible? Or has it always existed in your mind that it's possible? What was the key moment that moved you away to start saying, because the Nigerian mindset is usually for a lot of us, because the scholarships do not exist the way they exist abroad, you more or less think that everything you have to pay for. So when did you have that mind shift to tell you, it's possible? What was that eureka moment? I don't know if you can remember. Just share with us.
Okay, so years ago, of course, I've always heard about scholarships, and at the time I graduated from medical school, a close friend of mine that had studied electronic engineering in UNN was telling me about these things. That was like way back in 2010. And she was like, oh, come, let's apply for masters, let's apply, there are scholarships and all that. And then I was like, oh, I want to do I want to practice medicine in Nigeria and all that. Mm-hmm. And she applied and she got the admission and she won the scholarship, and that made me believe that, okay, this is actually possible. And then for me, the very first grant I won wasn't a scholarship, it was a research grant, a WHO research grant. And when I won it, I believed that, oh, so this is actually possible. We didn't just win it, we got the funds, we were able to use it to carry out the research and, all the things that followed and all that. So yeah, that's just it. So I've always known that this thing works, although sometimes you feel like oh, it's very competitive. It's always for the best. It's for, some group of people or people that have some connections or people that know people abroad and all that. But it's not. This, my friend that I told you about, she didn't know anyone. And she went for it and she got it. And there are so many other people, So, yeah, that's like little experience I would say I had that made me believe that this thing is possible.
Okay, thank you very much. I like the the conversation you've opened. So my question to you is, as a follow-up, what makes someone a special candidate that can get the grant? Or are you saying that anybody, whoever you are, can get a grant if you're intentional?
That's an interesting question. Okay, so I said earlier that it's not left for the best and it's not left for people that are connected. Anybody can get the scholarships, anybody can um, win any of these things, depending on how you position yourself. So it's important to understand how things work. And then when you understand how things work, you are able to position yourself in a way that those opportunities find you, or you find those opportunities, or you meet with the opportunities that you need. So anyone can actually get this, but then you have to do the background work that is needed. I believe that as we go ahead in the chat, we would dive in more into some of those things that you need to do to be able to be that person that gets these things. I don't know if I've
Okay, so yes, beautiful. So what you are saying is that anybody can actually get it, but you need positioning. That's is like talking about if the moon is not aligned to the direction of the sun, it cannot shine. So for
Exactly.
you to be positioned to get the scholarship, you need to position yourself in a way to shine. So my next question to you is, how do one start positioning himself or herself to be a credible candidate to get the scholarship you've gotten to study for a PhD in the University of Toronto or to other places? Yeah.
All right.
Are there universal principles before we now delve into maybe more specifics? Universal principles from what you've observed, from your interactions, from your past experiences, and probably I can also throw one or two lights which you can concur with. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so in positioning yourself, I would start by talking about there are phases in this thing. Like there are phases you need to go through. So the first phase I would talk about is even before you even start preparing to apply. So I will use myself as an example. At a point in my life, there was a point in my life where I wasn't thinking of traveling abroad. I already finished my training, my residency training, and I was willing to stay in Nigeria, make impact, do a lot of research work, which I was already doing.
But you're making impact now. So don't say, yeah, you're making impact.
So while I was, doing my work, just like every other person, I was, as a public health physician, I would do any research work that comes along. I would be involved. I would, write papers, publish, when there are outreaches to attend, when there are some volunteer opportunities, I would be involved in those things. And I didn't know that I was preparing myself for something. And I wasn't doing these things because I was looking for, to apply for any scholarship or to travel anywhere. But then by the time it was time for me to apply, by the time I decided to do that, I found out that I had been preparing myself all along. So that would lead me to the point. So you need to start early to prepare yourself. You don't just, jump out from, oh, I want to just, the common slang in Nigeria, I want to jump back, and you just wake up, oh, everyone is jackpotting. Me too, I have to join them. And then you wake up, oh, what's the fastest way to jackpot is to apply for to schools, apply for admissions and all that. And then you start applying, and then you're getting rejections, and then you are depressed. You're like, this thing doesn't work, you know. So you have to like start, even if you just wake up and say, okay, I want to travel, I want to study abroad. You need to give yourself time to prepare for this, because these opportunities are very, very competitive. And by the time you see the kind of people that you are competing with, you know that you really need to put in some effort and time. So you're competing with people that start from when they are undergraduates to work. They work as research assistants. They do different kinds of, get involved in a lot of things, work and volunteer opportunities, and they build their CV. And so when you come to start, just wake up one day and decide to apply, and then you don't have anything in your CV, and how do you stand to compete with those people? So you need to prepare yourself. And how can you prepare yourself? You can, get involved. I've talked about research, I've talked about volunteering, and then leadership. If you have leadership opportunities, it doesn't have to be one big leadership thing. It can just be in a small organization. It can even be in a church that you're doing some form of leadership. And then it can be in your maybe workplace or whatever it may be. It might be something small, but because you have that position, it is leadership. So these are the things that you can do. And then when you're doing these things, you try to write down these things, put down the record. What have you achieved? What are you doing? Put them down. Because if you don't, you might forget some of the little things that you have done. And those little things count, depending on how you present it. You might think something is little, you didn't do anything, you didn't do much. But by the time you put it in writing, you find out that that thing is a very important thing. And then another thing in preparing oneself, I don't know, most people may have graduated from the university, are working and all that, but one important thing is also your academic record. It's important because if you're competing with people and your academic record is not that good, definitely you will lose points in that aspect. So you have to make sure that you have good grades. So for people that maybe already have finished their undergraduate studies and maybe you're doing a master's, try to make sure you get a very good grade in that master's you're doing. So that the next application you're doing, if it's a PhD, at least you know that your master's results was excellent. So those are some of the things that, some of the ways you can prepare yourself. And then one very important thing is finances. Yes, I've talked about the fact that you can win these scholarships and you don't have to pay anything. But then you have to put in some commitment, because at the time of applying, you need to have money to apply for these opportunities. For instance, a lot of schools have certain application fee that you have to pay before you can apply for the admission. So if you don't have the money to apply for those, you'll be limited. There are a few schools that don't have any application fee. I've also heard of some schools that I think maybe there's a code or something they use, and then you're able to get some kind of discount or you're able to apply without paying. But then if you keep waiting for those ones, you might be limited in the number of schools you're able to apply to. So if you have access to funds, or no matter how little, you can keep some away, save it up, prepare in preparation for this application, so that you are able to apply. Because one of the things that limit people is applying to few schools. If you apply to like 10 programs, at least you've done, you have more opportunities compared to someone that applied to only 3. And one of the things that can limit the number of schools you can apply to is the funds you have. So that's just some of the things that you can do in the preparation or pre-application phase. Getting yourself ready, building your CV, getting involved in different kinds of research. And it doesn't even have to be just research. Yes, I know that for masters and PhDs, because especially for PhD, because it's something that leads most people into the academic field, they are really interested in research experience. But if it's for masters, I think I've seen people that didn't have any papers or publications, but they were still able to get into a master's program. But then those people still had things they did. For example, people may have like some startups, maybe business ideas, depending on the area and field of study you are going into. It could be engineering, and then you've built something. Some people have websites. Such things can increase your chances of getting in. So those are like some of the things you can do in preparing yourself, before you get to before you get to the pre-application phase, because this is just like preparing yourself. Then you then talk about the phase where you're preparing your application, like you're preparing to now apply. And I don't know if I should keep going or should I stop and
No, just go on, so that I don't interrupt you. And then when you finish, I'll now ask you some other follow-up questions. So please, I also want to encourage everyone here, the participants, please, if you have your questions, put it in the chat box, and then I will ask your question.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much. So now when you have now prepared yourself, then you will start looking at one thing I forgot to say is you also need to know what area of interest you want to go into. It might be health. In fact, when you come to health, there are lots of areas even within health. It can be AI, it can be, it can be digital health. There are different things. I'm talking much about health because that's my space, but in different areas of work, engineering, there are lots of, different specific areas of interest. So you need to also like try to define what your own area of interest is. And then when you now think of schools to apply to, you then begin to look at different schools and the programs they offer. And that is when your interest matters, because you're looking at professors that your interest aligns with theirs based on the background you have and the experience you have already built. So one thing that I tell people is that you need to put in a lot of work, a lot of effort into this thing. A lot of people don't want to do the work in it. You have to do a lot of reading. You have to spend hours reading. And someone might be wondering, what am I going to be reading? There is a lot you have to read. So you have to search out different universities, because a lot of these scholarships are tied to, at least for North America, US, Canada, a lot of the scholarships are tied to the admission. So when you get the scholarship, automatically you've gotten when you get the admission, automatically you've gotten the scholarship. So for most PhD programs in most universities in Canada, if you are able to secure an admission, then the funding comes with it. For the master's programs, it depends on the school. Some schools fund the 2 years of master's, while some schools fund only 1 year. Now, these are things that you find out when you go into the university websites and start reading. The first thing you have to do is, what program am I interested in? So you can have 2 or 3 programs that you're interested in. The next thing you do is, what universities offer this program? Create an Excel sheet or a Word document where you will fill out, each university you are going into their website, you have like a list of things that you're going to pick out from that website. You're looking at, what are the requirements? What is the tuition fee? Is there funding? These are the kind of things you look at. Do I need to find it? Of course, for most of them, you need to find a potential supervisor. And when you go to these websites, you're going to see not just the program, not just the requirements, you're going to see the professors. And for some of them, they will indicate that, they are accepting students. Now you have to still go ahead to read about these professors, depending on the ones that your interest. Of course, it's when you read about them, then you'll be able to find out if your interest aligns with theirs. And then you have to start emailing them. You have to reach out to different professors. In one program, you can reach out to 3, you can reach out to different people, that as long as whatever you're talking about as your area of interest is in line with theirs. Sometimes you may not really understand everything about them, but by the time you Google the papers they have published, you'll be able to see what they have been working on. Sometimes they even talk about the grants they've won and the recent research activities they are doing. And that is where you'll be able to see, this is what I'm actually interested in. And then you can email that person and say, this is what I have been doing. This is what I have done in the past. If you've published a paper that relates to what they've done, you can talk about that paper in that email, and then even mention that you came across the work they are doing, talk about that work a little bit. It's an email, so it doesn't have to be too long. And then declare your interest in that email. Now, you can also attach some documents to that email, maybe your CV, your transcripts. They might not respond. So, like, for me, for each email I sent, I have it saved in one of my folders. Till today, I still have them. Sometimes I open the emails and I'm like reading them and I'm like, oh my God. Many of them will not, they are very busy people. They might not respond. And then that is where you also have to put in more effort. You have to send reminders. Keep reminding them. Some of them might not even, in a day, some of them might receive like 50 emails, 100 emails. How do you expect them to see your name that they haven't even heard before? So you have to like send reminders, and then the subject of the email has to also be make it clear that this is like a request for supervision and all that. And that is the part that people fail to, most people don't have the energy or the strength, they don't have that perseverance to go through this particular phase, because it's really difficult to secure a potential supervisor. And then when you have done that, you can now start preparing your application package, your personal statement or statement of purpose is very, very important. One thing I will advise people is, if you go online, you might see a lot of example templates and all that. Don't just copy people's statements of purpose. You have to tailor it to what you have done. It has to be specific to you. That's where you will highlight, and it can be a story it can even be from a story from when you were in secondary school, in high school, and all that, and then move on to your undergraduate and things like that. So I think I'll stop here, and there is still a lot to say, but maybe the questions coming in will help us, know what things to focus
keep unpacking. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I just picked out some key things you've talked about: involvement in research, publication, volunteering, living in the present before you even start applying. As in, a lot of times you find people, they want to job, but I mean, based on that, they pause every other segment of their life because they feel that there's this one big thing they want to apply. But there was something you said that was quite interesting, which was when you mentioned about putting down the records of activities or tasks you do. So I just wanted to encourage everyone. There's what is called the STAR method, which is what you can always use in quickly summarizing every activity you do, which has to do with the situation, the task at hand, and of course the results or the outcome that comes out of it. In what situation was it? What was the task? And then the results. Then you mentioned also about the area about payment for fund. I mean, having some minimum money to use to do the pre-applications. For instance, some schools may charge £50 or $50 or $20 for their applications, which is quite true and great. So I'm going to ask this. Somebody asked a question. Can somebody that has a master's in Nigeria apply for PhD abroad? Is it possible? Can the person get it? Or the person has to do a master's abroad before you can apply for a PhD abroad?
You can apply for a PhD with masters from anywhere, including Nigeria. I had my master's in Nigeria, and that was what I used to apply. So masters is masters. So you can use it to apply. But then the important thing is your application package. That master's you said you did in Nigeria, did you publish a paper from it? If you did, it's something to highlight.
Is it a paper in a predatory journal, a paper in a good impact journal?
Of course, it has to be a good journal, high impact, okay. Of course. Yeah. But then,
at least a visible journal, a journal that is visible.
It can
at least can be found on PubMed.
Nigerian journal, association.
No, I mean
journal.
Can be found on PubMed.
Of course, yes.
But it has to be available online. Yeah.
Yes, but for masters, you don't. If you're applying for masters, you don't really need. I don't think they put so much emphasis on publication. Well, for PhD, most times they look into that. For instance, I know someone that applied for a PhD. When she attended her interview, they raised it as a concern that she doesn't have any publication. What they now did was to give her, but she had a lot of other experience, and she ended up getting so there's this one they call the MSc PhD option.
Research.
No.
Okay.
So it is
that's MRes. For some places it's called.
Okay, yeah. In this environment here, they call it Masters/PhD. So you come in, you do like 1 year of Masters, and then you switch to PhD. Now they made her do that because this is that someone else's experience. It's not like hearsay. So she told me that in her interview, they actually said it, that they have this concern that she doesn't have any publication. But then she has a whole lot of experience. This one that worked in international organizations in Nigeria. You understand? So you can see that that one gave her like maybe a strong point. You understand? So, but it's still possible to get into PhD without having a publication. I know a lot of people that, but then some of these people already have some research experience, tangible research experience, that they would say, okay, they worked on this project, even if it is not a published paper, but then there's a project they've worked on. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it may not all be about publications. In fact, someone I know recently applied from Nigeria and he didn't get in. He has up to 40 papers, 40 published papers. He has experience, but then he didn't get the admission. He even contacted a potential supervisor. But at the end of the day, they told him, oh, we're sorry, we had a lot of applications, those kind of stories. So it's like, yeah, so, and a lot of times they already have the number they want to take and all that. So, and because it's very competitive, they want the best, definitely they will look at, they will look at it that way. They will take the best out of who applied. And then sometimes it depends on the people that applied at the same time with you. If everyone that applied with you, you're better than
time and chance.
Exactly.
Time and chance.
If you're better than everyone that applied, then definitely you will get in. But I'm telling you that it's difficult to see, people are preparing for these things. People plan ahead. People, there are medical doctors here that are also getting into PhD programs. These are people that have done first degree, they have done masters, they have worked, they have done their residency in medicine, and now they're applying for a PhD. Think about it. And this is someone you're going to stand side by side with to compete. So it's very good. That is why you need to build yourself. Even if you wake up today and say, oh, I want to travel, you need to plan. You need to take some time and get things ready. And even with the very quality application and everything, for me, the first time I applied, I didn't get anything. Yeah, I applied the first year, 3 different schools, nothing, all rejected. And one of them, I actually had a supervisor that was ready to supervise me, but I didn't get in. So it's not like there's any formula or something. You just have to be persistent. If you try the first time, it doesn't work, you have to try again. If that is really what you want to do, if you know what you are pursuing and you don't give up. All right. I know it can be very, because of the application fee, it might not be easy for some people. And then it's very discouraging that, oh, you've put in a lot of work and then you didn't get anything. But then you have to try again because you don't know what might happen in the next year. You don't know, and all that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So, just to share with everyone, there were some things you were talking about, and my mind went back to the very first fully funded scholarship I had to study abroad. And, in my write-up, I mean, then did I really have a publication? Probably just exactly what you were talking about, like you work in teams, somebody asks you, oh, come and help me do something. And then, I mean, it's not like you are first author and all of that. But I think the key thing that really gave me that fully funded master's was was my work when I was a youth copper. So I developed and implemented a program to bring health outreach, medical outreach to a community that was based in that had refugees and all. But you see, one thing I've also learned is how you tell your story also determines how you are perceived. So two
Exactly.
people may say the same thing, but one thing I find is that except you learn the art, your story may sound like nothing, but meanwhile, you've done so much. I remember some of my medical students, I was asking them, in what leadership thing have you done before? And then I asked one, and he said, I've never done anything leadership. But meanwhile, this is somebody that had coordinated the security apparatus that led to the hosting of over 1,600 medical students in a place,
Wow.
of which they had raised close to over $30,000 for the conference to happen. So he himself did not even know.
Did
So
not
it
even
was
know.
me. Yes, it was me we inside. I was telling you, so, but I know you now, you did this. Oh, so don't you know that that is what you need that will make someone to say, oh, this is the kind of person I want. So you must also prepare to show yourself as a leader. A lot
Yeah.
of the people funding want to fund people that they feel potentially are leaders, future leaders. It doesn't mean they have to become president. It may be that they're in position, in pole, to become a leader in a particular sphere. And that goes a lot for the masters. They want you to do and show some level of leadership. A lot of people you see that get master's scholarship, whether it's Chevney, whether it's Commonwealth, the US, and all of that, go and check. A lot of them get into work with non-governmental organizations, which give
Yeah.
them the opportunity to showcase leadership. So whatever activity you've been in, like you've mentioned, church, civil society, even
Even in
even
school
student bodies,
association, you
school
know.
associations that you've been in, that shows you helping to fight things like bringing justice, equity, looking at the vulnerable. Those are the primary things that can help you to get a fully funded master's. I did my master's without dropping a dime. I didn't pay a dime. They paid my flight. They took me back. They paid me every single dime, and they paid me every month to study. So it's possible and
Add
it's
another
doable.
point.
So thank you. So
Yeah,
I
I
just
just want
wanted
to
to
add
add
something
to those.
before we move away from this. So in telling your story, also remember to add to include the numbers. Like you talked about the medical student that hosted about
Yes.
how many people. Like when you're telling that story,
1,600. He doesn't
and
even know the number. It's me
you need
that.
to put the numbers. You
Yeah.
know, if you've gotten any small grant that you used to do, you add, you mention how much. If you've led a group of people, if you were a class rep, how many people were in that class, you know, especially when it is a large number, don't hide it. Put it there, you know, call it a name. It might not be what we call it in Nigeria. You go
Yeah.
online, ask AI, you find, you know, a name that you will call that particular thing you did, and it will sound really, you know,
Yeah. Big.
good
Uh,
and interesting. So
uh, and
yeah.
thank you for saying this, because again, at times there's something called getting into the mind of your reviewers, right? So if you are writing, you need to realize that you're not writing for yourself. You are writing for someone that is coming with some, hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear
Hello?
you.
Oh, okay, you are writing to someone that has a context, a mindset. So for instance, that's why I mentioned about using the STAR method in making sure you're able to write clearly to show your accomplishments, in terms of the situations, the task, what you did, what were the results or the outcome and the outputs, which is quite great. So, but there again, you need to speak some of the things you are saying in their own words. So for instance, in the US, Canada, they call lecturers faculty. In Nigeria, we call lecturers lecturers, which is more like tending towards the British segment. So let me ask you, someone has asked this question. Are there age restrictions in terms of applying for these grants? Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
coming to age restriction, now I know that there are some specific scholarships that have age restriction. I don't know, maybe all these Commonwealth, maybe MasterCard, Erasmus. I haven't really looked into it, but I know I've come across where they put like an age limit
Yeah.
to it. Yeah. But if it's to a university, you're just applying for a PhD program, I haven't seen any age restriction there. Yeah, I've seen people that are older than me in PhD programs. And yeah, I don't think there's any for that. But if it is this specific scholarship, maybe World Health, World Bank, I haven't taken specific note of the age, but I know I have come across that. So for those ones, you really need to check and be sure that you fall within the age brackets that they require. And now that you've talked about age, I want to also add that it's important to look at the requirements for those specific scholarships. You really need to read about what do these people, what do they offer? What are the things? For instance, there was a time I saw on was it on Facebook or was it somewhere, one of these social media platforms, someone who got, I think it was a Commonwealth scholarship, and then of course the clause there is that when you're done with your program, you have to return to your country. And then this person doesn't want to return, you know, and is trying to stay back. It's not going to be a good report on your record. So you need to look at, if you want to travel out of the country and you don't want to stay, you don't want to go back, then you should look for the ones that, you know, the sustainability is there. After that program, you'll get to stay back. And then one thing I'll add here, it just came up in my mind since this is like an informal chat. Don't always fix your mind on specific countries or specific schools. There are people that had to go to some other less competitive countries first. And then from there, they were able to move to the more competitive ones. So there may be, you know, other schools that are not known, maybe in Asia, you know, all these, maybe, I don't know, South Korea, you know, those kind of places, even South Africa. I don't know much about what happens there, but people have gone through those pathways because those ones might be a bit easier to get. At the same time, you're also looking at the big ones, but then also look at other ones that might not be too heavy or, you know, not well known, so that from there you can now move on, you know, like a stepwise thing. And then the other thing I remembered is your reference letters. When you're preparing your application package, we've talked about CV, we've talked about personal statements. One other very important thing is your reference letter. Don't leave your reference letter to your referee. They don't know you. They don't know you enough. Even if this person has been your Oga for years, he cannot tell the full story about you. So what people do is you write your reference letter and give them. They can then do whatever they want to do with it. That will give them the opportunity to see things they didn't know about you. Maybe if you didn't give them that one you've written, they might just write half page and just write a generic thing. These people are busy. Your referees, they are busy. So they might not put in the interest or the effort to give you something quality. So you have to write about yourself, put in everything that you need to put in, and then give it to them. They can now cut it down. They can now add if they have extra things to add. That's one thing that is important. You know, one thing about these admission committees, I haven't been on any admission committee, but they might have a checklist where they tick out, like when they are reviewing your application, they will look at it and say, okay, there might be points for each of those things. Now, when it comes to reference letter, they might not just tick it off and say, oh, there's a reference letter. In that reference letter, they want to see certain things. Is there this? And did they write about this? Did they write, you know? And then you get the full mark for that. So don't leave your reference letter. Don't just take it on seriously. Start early to contact those that will be your referee. Write the reference letter and then give them. You might not see the final thing they submit, but the one you've given them will give them, they might not even change anything. They might just submit it like that. Yes. So don't just play with that aspect. It's very, very important. And don't just give anybody your referee. Don't just choose anybody as your referee because he's a professor or this or that. Choose people that like you, because someone might not like you. Someone might not want you to go anywhere, and he'll just write anything he likes. And you're not going to see what he wrote when he submits it. So you have to be, you know, strategic in selecting who your referees are.
So thank you very much for that response. So someone asked, I have a PhD already in Nigeria, from a Nigerian university. Do I need, if I need to apply for another PhD, the person wants to do a PhD abroad, do I need to declare the old one I have? Will it be an advantage or disadvantage?
I think you can declare. Now, if you want to do a second PhD, then you have to do it in a different area so that you'll be able to justify why you're doing that. Because even beyond the university, when you've gotten it, to now get the visa, you also have to justify why you're going for a second PhD to the immigration people for them to give you a visa. You understand? So I think it's important to declare it, because if you don't declare it and then along the line you now want to, it comes up somehow, I don't know, but I think it's good to declare it. But then my advice would be, if you're going to do a second PhD, let it be in a different area, so that someone that reads whatever you've written will say, oh, this person has a reason for switching. Maybe you want to switch your area of interest to something else, and that's why you're going for that second PhD.
Okay. So somebody else. Okay, thank you very much. Someone also asked, aside public health, what other areas can medical doctors apply for masters that is clinical? Do you know? I know about masters in clinical epidemiology. There
are so many opportunities. Honestly, I might not be able to answer that question right now, because there's a lot. It's not just public health. Like, there's health service research. There's a lot of, you just have to go to the school websites and read what they have there. They have so many things, a lot of things, a lot of different areas in health and outside health. I know someone that is an engineer, like his first degree was engineering, and then I think his master's too, but the PhD he's doing, it's still in the faculty of engineering, but then he's doing something on cosmetics, like how people think about their looks, and and in engineering. So you have to really look into what the different universities offer. That's where your eyes will open to the different kind of opportunities that are there. So that's how I'm going to answer that question. Like I said earlier, you need to do a lot of work. Go and read. Open your laptop. In fact, on the phone, if you don't have laptop, go use your phone. Just keep searching and be writing. As you're searching, write it down. If you don't do this work, everybody around me that I know, even people that I met here after I started my program, there is 90%, in fact 95% of them put in this work. You have to do that. If you don't, you won't find information. So that's what I would say to that.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So another person says, compliments, Ma. I have fellowship in ENT with up to 5 publications, authoring one and co-authoring the others. Can I apply straight to PhD or must I do masters first?
Again, these are things that you find out from for most PhDs, I think you require a master's. But then I also talk about the option where they have a combined master's and PhD. So that may be like an option. I don't know where they place. The fellowships are usually more of a clinical thing. I don't think it's like, but yeah, the person needs to check the requirements and also reach out. Apart from reaching out to potential supervisors, you can reach out to program coordinators. So if you go to a school website, you search out the program you want. On their page, you will find different names and contacts of program administrator, program coordinator, those kind of people. You can reach out to them and ask them questions. And they will respond. Even if they don't respond immediately, you can send reminders, they will respond. That's where you will be able to get more information. Some of them might even, because you're interested in applying to their program, they might even book a meeting with you and have a brief chat about what you're interested in and all that and guide you. So that's all that, part of the things that need to be done. I can't really say here that with a fellowship you buy. But if you have a fellowship in ENT, that means you're a medical doctor, if I'm understanding correctly. If you're a medical doctor,
yes, he's a medical doctor.
Yeah, so sometimes those they might take our medical degree, they might count it as masters. So these are the things that you need to reach out to the program coordinators and ask them about it. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much. Someone also asked, is it compulsory to get IELTS or is it
so it depends on the school. Some schools make it compulsory for you to have IELTS. Some don't. It's also something that is clearly written there on the website of the school or the program. In a particular school, some programs may require IELTS, some might not. And then there is this other thing that they ask you for in place of IELTS. If you don't have IELTS, you can actually get a written note or letter from your school saying that you studied in English during your university, your undergraduate or master's program, that it was an English taught program and that all the instructions and learning was in English. Some schools accept that. But if you have the energy and the strength and the money to do IELTS, it also gives you more opportunities because you're not going to be restricted to those schools that don't require IELTS. I know it's expensive, in those days it was like 89,000. Right now, I think it's like 300 and something thousand naira. So it's not an easy thing to do. And if you have the money, you can just write it so that you're not restricted. But if you don't, you can get a letter from your school saying that you studied in English.
Yes, Ma, thank you very much. In fact, I've had that experience in another funded program I did with University of Oxford. It was getting such a letter that waved off doing IELTS. And then, of course, if you've also done a master's program at times in an environment that they've taught totally in English. So,
Yeah.
having said all of this, we're just going to take a mini break for our guest speaker to take a bottle of water, and then every other person, you can just stretch your leg for 1 minute, and then why maybe we use the opportunity to share things around some of the things we do just for you to know. So having said that, you are welcome once more to Alpha Research Plus Consult. Yes, my screen is on now. So we run lots of training programs that have been going on severally within the last 4 or 5 months. Like trainings on things like SPSS. That's a software for analysis, data analysis. We've had a program that runs on trying to prepare people, getting people to get published, which is still ongoing. We've had also trainings on research methodology, like the sampling methods. We've had training on qualitative research, the art and science of qualitative research craftsmanship. We talked about the Researchers Fireside Chat, the very first episode, which was on grants. We had people talk about grants. And a lot of this, some of the taster programs, they're actually on our YouTube channel, which you can actually visit. Alpha Research Plus Consult on YouTube. Please do subscribe so that you can always get alerts when we get new videos on. And then we've also quite recently had a program on the use of artificial intelligence in research, which is online live on the YouTube channel. You can really go on. And then we've also had trainings on Researchers Toolkit, which has to do with training on Canva and MS Word, and then this current Researchers Fireside Chat, which is ongoing, where we are talking about scholarships. So some of the upcoming programs we have is that we're going to start another set of the Researchers Toolkit, the cohort 2, 16th April. So on the WhatsApp group, some of the details would also be posted. For those that want to learn skills on being able to analyze their data, we're starting the SPSS Masterclass cohort 4. And then, of course, the use of artificial intelligence in research, the masterclass, which is on prompt engineering, how to better get a response that, for instance, you can use artificial intelligence even in helping you to be able to further prepare your application so that you can get maximum scoring. And then, of course, things around referencing your publications. These are the very much upcoming programs, even in next month. So the kind of services we offer are varied and multiple. We offer one-on-one consultation, trainings on SPSS, as well as data analysis, both in terms of quantitative and qualitative consultation on things around your methodology, AI prompting, the use of AI, manuscript writing, and research tools. So usually we do it bearing in mind that there's what is called the equitable, the ethical way of supporting people in this, which is that we provide you hands-on support in all of this. And then, of course, the other piece of trainings and consultation. And really, even like now that we're talking about this scholarship, you could also enroll with us and we can support you to provide you better tailor-guided methods to be able to enhance your chances of getting into some of this program fully funded. I mean, a lot of our consultants have experiences, multiple masters and PhD winners, and as well as have lots of funded program. Because of the way we started, we were unable to initially talk about the wars of marble, which is usually our encouragement to you. So we say, as for the future, your task is not to foresee it, but to enable it. That is what we are trying to do for you today, to enable it. Because for most of the schools, they have a period when they start the application, but you need to be well prepared ahead of time to be able to apply successfully. At times, even if you don't meet up with that particular cycle, you can get ready for the next cycle. The expert in anything was once a beginner. So even for you to become an expert, you just need one step forward. I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work, according to Thomas Edison. And then, of course, small daily improvement over time will lead to stunning results. You'll be amazed and shocked, even as you follow up with us and in the different things, how far you can go. Like one of the things that have been said here, research is very, very key. And just engagement in and even being able to produce good quality papers that can be seen. It doesn't mean that they have to be in the high impact journals that publish maybe for cost of over 7 million. But even small journals, there are lots of Scopus journals in Nigeria that can publish for less than 100,000 naira, which are visible because they are on Agile and PubMed. Some of these things I'm saying may sound like jargons, but that's part of the kind of trainings we do in exposing our mind. So we're going to go right back to our speaker. I believe you are done with your break. Dr. Akami Kema, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. So
Thank you.
somebody has asked concerning referees, is it appropriate for one's lecturer who is now abroad to still stand in as a referee?
Most times it's good to, if you're using your reference letter should be on a letter-headed paper to show when you say maybe you worked in a teaching hospital or you worked in a certain organization and you're getting a reference letter from someone that supervised you in that organization, then I'm thinking, yeah, it's important to have it on that organization's letter-headed paper. It gives it more credibility. Although there are people that have, done some of these things without, using a letter-headed paper, but it's important to use a letter-headed paper. So if that person, well, I think there can also be a way around it. So if the person is working in another organization now, the person can explain that, okay, when he was in this organization and all that. But I don't know how the letter-headed paper thing will go, because it's important to show that this person actually worked in that place and this person supervised him or her while she was in that organization. So that having a letterhead is one important thing. Yeah, I understand that sometimes the people that you worked with may have left the organization where they are, where you worked with them, but I'm not really sure about that. But it's important to have some connection to, if you're mentioning an organization's name, then there should be some evidence that shows that, okay, I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. So somebody also asked a question, this scholarship, do they provide for dependent visa if you get them?
So those scholarships don't provide visa for you.
for your dependents?
So it depends on the country.
Okay.
You understand? So what the school gives you is your admission letter and your scholarship letter. And then you use that to apply for your visa. So some countries will have it as a rule that you can only apply for yourself. For places like Canada, once you are applying as a student, you also have the room to apply for your partner, for your spouse, and your children if you have children. So yes, that's
That's you mean doctoral student or
even
both
masters,
masters?
both
Uh,
masters
because
and
I
yeah.
know UK, because I know UK just stopped quite recently. They, I mean, before
Yeah,
it used
so
to be there for masters.
for Canada, masters and PhD, but I think they have, I don't know what is happening for the diploma programs. You understand what I mean? There was some, I'm not sure about what the state of that rule is right now, but for the diploma program, at some point, they were saying they're going to stop giving visas to the spouses and family members. But for masters and PhD, when you're applying for your study permit, you can apply for a work permit for your spouse and apply for visas for your children. So
Okay, thank you very much. So I just remembered when you talked about age. So one other trick is that for a lot of master's program, um, they put a cutoff usually towards 35 years, especially for some of the scholarships that you see or even applications. They'll put a cutoff of 35, but for some others, like you said, they are open, but generally the earlier you apply, the more chances you have to get it, you know.
mhm.
So if you really want to apply, it's also good to start applying on time. So thank you very much. So now, as we are gradually wrapping up this session, I don't know if you have anything that are like some other thoughts you have that are maybe great advices for people that want to apply for any of these funded positions. Any last minute thoughts or other things that you want to share with us? Over.
Yeah. So one of the things I would say is um, we've talked about applying to as many schools as possible. We've talked about making your reference letter strong. One thing I would also say is for people to avoid last minute preparations. Start early. You know, this is the time to start for school for programs that the application deadlines are like November, December. This is the time to start reaching out to potential supervisors. Reach out to as many as possible. The earlier, because if you wait till like August, by then they may have gotten people they want. You understand? So it's important to start early. That's one thing I would say. And then we've talked about um, looking at less competitive opportunities, less competitive schools. Another thing you can also do is to reach out to people that are in those programs. For instance, someone reached out to me and on LinkedIn and said, "Oh, I saw that this person is your supervisor. Can you tell me more? Little one or two things about the person." Other people have also reached out to me and said, "Oh, I'm going to be having an interview with this person, and what do you know about him? What do you know about her?" And things like that. You know, so you can look for people that are. If you go to the website and you see a particular professor that you're interested in working with, if you click on his profile and all that, you will see the students they are supervising, and you can go on LinkedIn, look for those people. That's one way. You never know, some of them might not respond, but some of them might respond and give you useful information. that that will be good for your application and all that. And that said, we've said earlier that you really need to put in a lot of work, a lot of effort. I don't know, some of us, I know a good number of us, we're Nigerians, we're Christians. And one thing I will always say is that, the Bible says it's not by power, it's not by might, and it's by my spirit, says the Lord. There's also this Bible verse that I love so much, and most of us know it. It says that in Proverbs 22:29, that do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. They will not serve before officials of low rank. So hard work is important. You need to be skilled in your work. You need to be diligent. The King James Version says diligent. You have to be diligent in your work. Not just, gathering things. Be organized. Be skilled. Be organized. Be diligent. Keep doing what you're doing. And it says that you will not stand before ordinary men. You understand what I mean? So, and at the same time, the same Bible also says in Ecclesiastes, Dr. Owanko had mentioned that. He says, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happened to them all.
Time and chance.
Time and chance. The way I interpret that is this: time and chance. You need to take time to prepare yourself, because you don't know when that opportunity will meet you, or when you will meet with that opportunity. And if you need that opportunity and you are not prepared, you lose that opportunity. So time and chance. There are people that, because they had what it takes, they were, the chance came, the opportunity came, and they were able to fit in. If that opportunity comes and you don't fit in, you will lose it. So it's a combination of diligence, hard work, opportunity, and God Himself, making this opportunity available to you. So I think I'll wrap up with that. Thank you very much. It's been an
Thank you so much. You said quite a lot, and I just want to say this. When you are talking of time and chance, because it's very, very important for everybody to realize what at times all of this means, right? The sudden change in the headship of the US and a policy that changed has made a lot of people, they can no longer access the US scholarship, even if they are very, very qualified. So you can imagine if probably 2 years ago you had the opportunity to apply and you didn't apply, it's now that you now want to go and apply and you don't meet those criteria, you don't get it. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? So that's a powerful illustration of what time and chance can do. And that is why it is always good for us to be well prepared. And so I just want to thank Dr. Akamike for making out time, despite her busy schedule, to come out and give back to us and for the great time we've had together. I want to also share with you all that please, you go to our YouTube channel, you subscribe. We're going to send an evaluation form, and those that fill it will be able to send you some links of some list of websites that you can also visit that provide scholarships and all of that. And then, like I said, the company is also, as an Alpha Research Plus consult, is also available to support you in your journey towards us calling you to become the future testimony of this. Thank you, everyone, and do have a good night's rest. God's grace and God's speed to us all. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye.